Away from Tuesday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show, heard 4 times a week right here on this channel. Good show for you tonight. Urban Meyer is with us. Urban Meyer and Graham Hall, one of the very best at covering Gator sports. And our friend Lauren Meadows has got trivia for you tonight. So check it out. Stand by and tell your friends and neighbors. The Buddy Martin Show is on the air on a bunch of places, YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and all over the place. So if you like good sports talk, hang in there. Coming to you in just a second. The Buddy Martin Show right here on this channel right now.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the Buddy Martin Show, coming to you live from Studio 12. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we've got a good show for you. I got to let off some steam about this thing, though, this whole golf thing, the LIV PGA Tour. I have mixed emotions on it. I'll share that with you in just a minute. I don't know. It's a win and a loss, and you have to pick sides on this one, but talk about that in just a minute. Urban Meyer had a very good conversation with Urban today. We covered a lot of territory, including this new Netflix Swamp Kings special that's coming out in August. Lots of talk about it. A lot of people thought it's a hit job. It's a hit job. Shane Matthews and I talk about it. People are hearing rumblings. Friends said he heard it's a negative piece. Well, I got the real scoop on it tonight. Irvin will be along in just a moment, and he'll tell us about that. He also will share a few secrets about recruiting. Think the guy could recruit, I believe, I have to ask, look at some of my friends this. I believe it's right, that 5 of the 6 years he had top 5 or better recruiting class and 2 number 1. So he recruited, and he has the secret. How did he do it? Well, he's going to tell us that and a lot more. So stay tuned for that. And Urban, very interesting interview today with him. Also, congratulations to our sweetheart of Gator Bait. She said we could say that. Lori Rutledge, another baby born to her and her husband, Josh. Their son, Jack, born, I guess, yesterday. Now baby Reese has a brother, and Laura couldn't be happier. I know she's had a tough time. So our very best to the Rutledge family and new baby, Jack. Jack Rutledge, strong name. All right, so I got that going on. And we'd like to hear from you tonight on lots and lots of things. Before we go right into Urban Meyer and dive in, we're going to go hear from our friends and sponsors at Titan MRI. Then stand by, folks. Got some good stuff coming your way.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
My great pleasure now to welcome back to the program after a while my friend Urban Meyer, and he's off a fishing trip and playing, I think, tennis today. I'm not sure, golf. I don't know. It's stressful making that schedule up, Urban, isn't it?
Yeah, we got a lot going on. You throw in 4 grandkids and 3 kids, and Shelly, and all's good, man. We live in paradise in Sarasota, and I'm on the board of Veterans Golf Association now and Tebow Foundation, so we're doing really cool things, and life's good.
Well, I mean, look, it is a great place down there, no doubt about that. And I think the grandkids called you Buddy, right?
That's right, Buddy and Mimi. Anybody, yeah.
Shoot, they got a perfect name for that, Buddy. Man, what the heck? What could be better than that,
The namesake, Buddy Martin.
Yeah. So I want to get right into a subject I think you'd be terrific to talk about. Is winning contagious? And I bring this up because the Florida golf team, you might not have followed it, but you did, won the national championship, individual and team, and they were down all 3 days and came back to win it. It was inspirational. I've never had so many people talk about golf being inspirational. They showed a lot of guts, whatever. And then the Florida baseball team bounced back last weekend in the regional and had to win 3 straight games to stay alive against Texas Tech, 2 of them, and did. And now they're going to the host of the Super Regional. So I talked to a friend of yours this morning named Spurrier about this. I know you had some interactions with Billy Donovan and you guys had a thing going. First, address the question, is it possible for the winning tradition or the style or whatever to impact other teams in the school?
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt there is. You know, Jeremy Foley was our athletic director, and obviously one of the greatest of all time. But you remember Rhonda Fain, you know, Mary Wise, you had basketball, you had all the sports were doing great. And the reason, Florida is a great place, but there's a lot of great places out there. It's the people. And Jeremy Foley made it very clear he expected to win. He gave you the tools you needed to win, and it did. We kind of fed off each other. I remember I would go talk to Ron. The reason I bring up Rhonda Fain is she was such a great friend and phenomenal coach. Mary Wise, you know, my daughters played volleyball. And I used to watch her, talk to her all the time, and you learn from each other. You share. Billy Donovan and I spoke to each other's teams all the time. We went to each other's games all the time. Winning begats winning. Unfortunately, the other side's true as well. Losing, kind of, you get a losing culture there, and it's so hard to dig out of that. So there's no question that it does impact the other teams.
When you look back, and I've done this a couple of times and visited both with you and Steve on an article I'm going to write this summer, the 2 greatest coaches in Florida football history and 2 of the greatest of all time in college football, to have been there and done what you did during that time. Looked upon it now like, oh, wow, how did we do that exactly? I mean, you did it by following up at Ohio State. He did it to a lesser degree, but at South Carolina. So when you think about how much pride you take in that you and Spurrier basically own the joint.
Well, Steve Spurrier is a winner. You know, there's a lot of things that people can say about a lot of people, and he's a winner. You know, and he set the standard here at Florida. I always made comments, kind of being somewhat very respectful, but I always felt the visor around me, and rightfully so. He was a great player there, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion coach. He's the one that, you know, it was hard to believe that Florida really never won a conference championship until Steve Spurrier did. So, rightfully so, Steve Spurrier brought a winning culture to University of Florida. It's not saying it wasn't there before like that, though. No. And every year, my 6 years? My 6 years there, I was chasing Steve Spurrier. And I say that all the time. I say that much respect. When we won the national championship in 2006, I personally got Steve Spurrier a ring because I thought he earned that. How did he earn that? You know, we blocked the field goal to beat him, but he earned it because he set the standard at the University of Florida. And everybody for the rest of, you know, as long as Florida is playing football, they're going to try to live up to Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, but you and Spurrier screwed up for everybody else because those days can never come back, I don't think. We'll see if they do. But I
think they can, buddy.
Really? That dominant?
I think they can. You know, maybe not basketball and football at the same time. No,
right.
I'm not sure that'll ever happen again.
Yeah.
But, you know, Florida's got what it takes. Florida, you know, they got a great coach right now. He's got you know, obviously has some challenge ahead of him, but you know, everybody just got to hang in there. You know, what happens in Florida and some of these other places, you know, the world starts caving in on them when you lose a recruit, you lose a game. And sustainability is how you develop great winning programs.
Urban, is it worse at Florida than other places like Ohio State? Pretty high expectations there. Is it just Florida that seems to be this win or die deal?
No, I think it's you probably got 4 or 5 schools in America. And out of respect to all the other schools, I won't say who, but there's 3, 4, or 5 schools that have a people say it's expectations that can never be met. And I used to share this with our team at Ohio State and Florida is that, hey, that's life in the big city, pal. You don't have to be here. This is very hard. If you don't win by more than 14 when you're supposed to win by 14, people are critical of you. Thank God we're at a place that losing is not acceptable because who would want to work in a place like that where it's acceptable? Florida, it's not acceptable.
Tough deal for Billy Napier right now, though. He's got to do something this year because Gator fans, it's a new day with NIL. You talk about this on your show all the time, a big show on Saturday. But there are things that have changed, and because TCU was so successful last year and whatever with NIL and with the transfer portal, look what they did at Michigan State. Now he's in trouble. So everybody thinks, well, we'll just go get us a team, we'll buy him or whatever. It's not working that way, Urban.
No, it's not. It never works. It's never as easy as maybe people like I remember one time, hey, Florida, you really don't recruit. You just kind of pick your players. And I'd look at him and say, you have no idea what you're talking about. You got to, the only difference is you're recruiting against Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, the top, and there's a reason why they're top. They're great recruiters. So it's very difficult. It's very complicated. I've always been a believer that culture will serve you well if you have a very strong culture, and that's been proven over time. When the culture starts to slip, that's a problem. And that's why, you see the Nick Sabans of the world and you see Kirby. We'll see how long he's got it going right now. And you can say he's got great players. He does. But he must have an incredible culture in that program right now.
The culture begins with getting the players. And you made it look somewhat easy. I think you had a top 5 class like almost every year but one. And you had number 1 class at least 1 year, maybe 2. Anyway, you had the recruits. People think they're falling off the back of pickup trucks, coming down University Avenue. You worked your tail off. I remember the story you told after you won the title in 2006. You're sitting in the locker room, I believe with Bud and don't know who else, Earl Bruce. And he hits you just after like 20 minutes, 30 minutes after the game. You won the national championship. Oh, my gosh, I got to go recruit, right?
Yeah, that was 06, then 08. I actually, just the way my mind was working at the time was I was already thinking about 09. And the players were out there dancing, celebrating. I physically, because people were bothering me, I locked the door and I had to hit the top 20 recruits in America personally before I went back out and enjoyed the victory. And one of my coaches came in and got real upset with me and said, will you just please relax for a minute, enjoy this? And I was like, we got to get these recruits. It's already, 08's gone. We're on to 09.
Wow.
I didn't, when we won it at Ohio State, I didn't let that happen.
Yeah, you got to enjoy the moment. Yeah.
Everybody enjoyed that win.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's about the recruiting, and nobody set the bar higher than you. I'm doing some recruiting stories. One of my all-time favorites is still the Tebow story, because I start thinking about what would have Florida been without Tim Tebow. Who knows? But it was a frightening thought to you and Greg Madison as you were getting on the plane to go recruit Tim, who at that point was leaning toward Alabama.
Yeah, so Greg Madison and I are on the plane, and I remember already in my mind convinced myself that we'd be okay if we lost Tim. And I already had, it was a junior college quarterback. I was already set with Doc Holliday. We're going to go see this player because in my mind we lost Tim to Alabama. And I'm getting on the plane with Greg Madison, who was my right-hand man at the time and a great recruiter himself and loved him. And I looked at him and I said, we're going to be okay. I have a plan in case Tim goes to Alabama. And I started explaining his plan. He puts his hand up and he said, Coach, if we lose Tim Tebow, that'll set the program back 10 years.
Wow.
I got so pissed. I was like, because I knew he was right.
He was right, yeah.
I knew he was right.
Yeah. Can't even think about it. What I did. Well, you did get him, and it's a wonderful time. We get to see relive some of this stuff, Urban. Now on this special, what's it called, Swamp Kings? Had a lot of questions on my show about this. Had some this morning on the show I did. What's going on with this show? Is there going to be a favorable Florida piece? Is it a hit job? What's going to happen? And I said, I don't really know. He said, but I talked to Urban several months ago about it. He was pretty excited about it. So what can you tell fans about this piece. It's come out in August, right? Called Swamp Kings on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's August 23rd. And I think just for, we're supposed to do something with Netflix. They were really good to work with. At first I said no when they asked me to take part in it. And then I thought, wait a minute, there's been so many, comments about that team and quite honestly, ridiculous comments about that team. So I said, no, I am going to do this because all I care about is honoring that '08 team. That'll go down as one of the great teams in college football
One of the
history.
greatest. One of the
The
greatest. For
'06
sure.
team, think about what that '06 team did. They came out of nowhere and went on to beat the number one team in the country soundly.
Really, no kidding. You can say it, Urban. It was Ohio State, okay?
Yeah. So I did it, and they were great to work with. The most important thing is when you see the interview list of people that are on the show, it's the people that should be on the show. There's some people, unfortunately, not that we tried to get in there and for whatever reason aren't on it, but it's a celebration of some great football players and a great football team and a great university. That's what it is. Are there highs and lows? Yeah, but it's true. It's not some, people keep asking me, is it a hit or whatever? I think you said the same thing. Not hit piece or I'm not sure what that means because I don't. The best thing I started doing, buddy, is I don't, read some of the silliness that's out there. I just know what it was, and yeah, there were some lows. We lost a few games. We had some issues on the team, but we also had incredible people, great football players and great people, and one of the greatest football players of all time in the quarterback Timmy. So it's going to be going to be a good show for Florida, and it's going to be a behind the scenes look at a nice run.
Can you give us a few names besides Tim Tebow who might be in it, or is that against the rules?
If it is, I don't know. I haven't really.
Brandon Siler is one.
Okay, if you ask me, I can affirm it.
Yeah.
Yes, he's
well, I mean, I just I can guess, but I mean, I can guess who it was. Anyway, so I don't think it's against the rules. Well, it comes time for promo. We'll talk again, but I'm looking forward to it. And good on you, by the way. Right behind, let's see, this side of my head over here, right there is a book. You might have heard of it. It's called Urban's Way.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate about that book was when we did it, is you were very open about it, honest about it. You didn't try to control it. Probably some things you wouldn't have rather had in there, but it was all part of what happened to that program and that championship year. So I know that, I mean, I couldn't have asked anybody to be more honest and forthright with me about that book. And I'm very proud to have been part of it. And you should be too, because it's a really good book. It's probably out of print now, but anyway, it was a great opportunity. So let's talk about Gator fans are going to Salt Lake. And you had phenomenal luck. I won't call it luck. You had results. And your team, I forget the year when you came and beat everybody and you should have won the national championship. At that time, I think Utah was in the Mountain West, I'm trying to recall. And you beat, who was it, Boise? Was it Oklahoma? Who was that you beat in the bowl game?
We beat Pitt in the BCS bowl game.
Okay.
One of the BCS bowl games.
Okay. All right. So I'm sorry for not remembering. But tell folks, I have a hard time keeping up with Florida, let alone Utah. Tell folks what to expect. What a tremendous time of year to be going to Utah. It's a beautiful state. And going up to the Rice Eccles, I'm not familiar with that stadium. The coach there, pretty darn well what a job he's done, Kyle Whittingham. And so tell Gator fans what to expect when they get there this fall.
Well, it's when we were hired in 2003, Utah was basically considered a commuter school. They were, the attendance was not very good. They had a really good coach in Ron McBride, but never could really move. They had some really good years. But the reason a lot of people really were mad at me when I took that job, and I just saw Salt Lake City, the surrounding areas of 2 million people. I saw Utah was very committed budget-wise and facility-wise to being the best in the Mountain West Conference. They had an athletic director, Chris Hill, that, I laid out a plan that we needed this, and this to be successful, and he said, we'll do it. And then I went to work, and we went to work. And I just was with Kyle Whittingham about a week ago in Salt Lake, played golf. We had lunch together, and Morgan Scally, his D coordinator, who played for me. And that place has turned out to be, it's going to be it's only probably 60,000, I want to say now. The student body was picked by many to be the best in the country now. That we started it, we called it the MUS. After the 2003 season, we wanted to get a student engagement, and we actually asked the students to help us name it, and they came up with the MUS. It's the Mighty Utah Students section.
Must.
Altitude, buddy, altitude is real.
Yeah.
You're at 6,000 feet.
Yeah.
I want to say it's 6,000, and I remember we played North Carolina, and we beat them, put almost 700 yards offense on them, and they couldn't handle the altitude, the speed of our team. It's gonna if and I don't know how you get ready a team ready. You're at sea level or in the swamp, or sometimes it feels like you're below sea level. But that's a long, hard trip, and they better be ready because Utah is a really, really well coached team and good team.
Is their quarterback going to play? Is he back? Is he all right? Sorry.
I don't know that, buddy. I know he got hurt, but he's back for seems like his 15th year. But he's fun to watch and a great player.
Yeah, well, it might be a great weekend for Gator fans too. All right, let's talk one more time about Big Noon Saturday, the show. You're back again. The show started, I believe, in 2019. Nobody had any idea it was going to be so successful. I don't think. Maybe the producers did. And now you got this show, and you got this expanded audience because of all the expansion. And you're with the same guys. Talk about the show a little bit. Who's on with you? I know, but I mean, talk about you. You got a great camaraderie, these guys, and you say you really like it. And by the way, you're pretty good at it too.
Yeah, I don't like it. I love it. And when they came to me, it was right before a Rose Bowl game when I was stepping away from Ohio State, and they came to me, and I'll never forget the words. They said, Fox, college football is all about celebrating this great game and those who play it, and that's all I wanted to hear. It wasn't about political stuff. It wasn't about going after people, and we don't do that. We celebrate the great game. We have people report the news, and my job is to go behind the scenes in recruiting and strategy and fundamentals and locker room and try to give a viewer what's really going on. And Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, and Rob Stone have become brothers to me. I'm the oldest brother, but I love those guys. And the ratings have been really good. The feedback from our higher ups have been really good, and we're going to hit it really hard. We have a Deion Sanders first game in TCU and Deion Sanders second game at home. So we'll be there live and ready.
Interesting. Can't wait. All right. So, final note about recruiting. People are fascinated by it. There's no science to it that I know of. Gator fans are very upset when they don't hear about 4 and 5 stars for team building. What can you tell us if I was a new coach and I was trying to learn how to recruit, what tips could you give me?
Well, you always find out who's going to pull the trigger. And there's only one way to do that, and that's time. How do you spell love? T-I-M-E. How do you spell recruiting? T-I-M-E. How do you spell anything that you want to be great at? You have to spend time. It's a labor-intensive position to recruit. I think now it's a lot different because money's involved. Money was not involved. It was all about relationship and what that school could do for you. And we always preach, how I am about academics and life after football. That was number one. Number two was win, and number three was NFL. And we had proof that was going to happen if you did what you were supposed to do. But the best coaches I've been around, I can walk in when I had a great assistant coach, and I walked into that home, I knew that if I did my job, we'd get the kid because the relationship was already set. There's hugs and, they knew they ate together before. There was a relationship there. What's really bad, buddy, is when you'd walk in with a coach that wasn't very good. I'm talking about an assistant coach, and they don't know each other. And that happened, that happens because the coach isn't very good or because some circumstances you just got on them. That's really hard. And that's where the head coach has got to be a sledgehammer and get it done. Normally the head coach is a closer. And if you're joining my staff, I'd say I expect you to, you better be knee deep in that player and the players' families and the high school coach and everybody, his girlfriend and everybody around him. You better know everything about him.
Well, think about IMG being right down there where you are, and how Florida went for a long time and didn't get any IMG players. Now, I don't know much about it, but if it's legal and I had a staff, I'd move a guy down there. Okay, let him be there every day. Go to. I know you can only do so many visits, but there are ways to form relationships. And Florida's gotten a few IMG players recently, but not that many. I got a feeling if Urban Meyer was a coach, you'd have had a lot more because you was zeroed in on that. To me, that's like, that's like low hanging fruit.
Well, I think St. Thomas Aquinas is. I've always got a warm heart. George Smith was the coach, and there was a while where we, if we didn't get the best player, we were always right there. And George used to joke around. The people used to joke around. I had my own office at St. Thomas Aquinas.
Really?
Because I really didn't, but I knew everybody there. And I knew everybody in there in that facility, the secretary, the head coach, the offense coordinator, defense.
Well, how'd you get to know him, Urban? Did you just go down there and meet him, or what did you do? You have somebody helping you, or what?
TIME, time.
Yeah.
I how it was, buddy. I mean, you probably heard stories. If I went in there, I was going to spend hours in that school. If I could, and I was gonna, where there's great players are going to be great players. You better invest a lot of time there. And IMG is one of them. You're right. Someone better be there at least once a week, 5-6 hours.
Wow.
And surrounding yourself there.
Wow. Okay. Last thing, did you ever dance for a recruit? Because we know the story about Brian Kelly, and now we're seeing dances becoming a thing. I asked Coach Spurrier about this. He said he once had to dance for Marcus Lattimore's mom to do the cha-cha, and he did it. He said, I danced the cha-cha, and Lattimore came to South Carolina. So did you have to do dance for somebody?
No, I never did that, and I'll tell you what, I'd pay good money to watch Steve Spurrier.
No, I wish I had a video of it.
I wouldn't know I can't even spell cha-cha, but I'll tell you, if Steve Spurrier did it, I'd love to watch it.
I would too. Love having you on, Coach. Good to talk to you again. Good luck on the special, and let's talk again before the summer gets over.
Yeah, let me say this, buddy, too, that you're a dear friend, and I saw your piece that you wrote, I want to say a week ago, when Laura and I looked at it. You are extremely unique and so talented, and I can say this on behalf of many, many people. We love you and appreciate you, brother.
Well, that's awfully nice, Irvin. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Love to Shelley. Thank you.
Take care.
Urban Meyer. Well, good stuff there. Nice words. All right. He's in the orange and blue room right now. In about 30 seconds, we'll have Graham Hall. We used to call him the Minister of Information. He knows a lot of stuff. Let's see if we can get him to just tell us about it. And then also, we've got tonight to spend on things like trivia and gifts. So it's all good. What a great interview with Urban. Stand by. Next, Graham Hall, Minister of Information.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
All right, thanks very much. Jeffrey, let's go right to the orange and blue room. 2 comments I won't share with you. There's some people that don't like Urban. Well, there you go. Sorry, turn it off. Don't watch it. I've got a lot to say about golf, but right now I've got a more important thing. I've got to tell you about this LIV thing, how I feel about it. Now, Will have strong feelings, but first I got strong feelings about this guy, Graham Hall, who just got here from somewhere, running hard like he always is. Does a great job at 247 Sports, and love having him on. Graham, how you doing this evening, my friend?
Doing well, buddy. Thanks for having me, man. It's good time to be here always. That was a great interview with Urban. I'm glad I caught the tail end of it.
Well, thank you.
One of the best in the business still. I hope that people have not lost sight of that. Still a great amount of respect for him, and I hope that people, especially Florida fans, have not forgotten what he was able to accomplish here in Gainesville.
I guess we're going to see some of that in the special coming up. A lot of people say, oh, it's going to be a hit piece. Well, you just said, no, it's not. So there you got that resolved. But, yeah, I mean, people can say what they want to about him. I know some things that people don't know about him. I've given up trying to be his defense attorney and all that. But you think what you want to, and I'll think what I want to, right? And I think you got some information, man. You guys are doing a heck of a job. Your boy Jason Rudner is just tearing it up, man. He's really special.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like
yeah,
him
Jacob is one of the best in the business. You know, if you're not following him and you're a Florida fan, you're missing out on basketball, baseball, football, you name it. I mean, the guy consistently impresses me. I couldn't say more about him. If I had more time, I'd go on and on and on. But if you're following him, if you're not following him and you're a Florida fan, you're definitely missing out right now.
For sure, and we'll get him on the show. We've had him on, I think, once before, and we
got to
have
do
him
it.
back.
Got to do it.
And you guys do a heck of a really good job. All right, let's talk about. Give me the hot scoop. Give it up, Graham. I want to know what's the deal on this old big party at Spurrier's. We had a little bit of information that others didn't have, not through Steve, by the way. He wasn't even in town. There are people excited about it. 17 recruits came in, some 4s and 5s, guys that committed to other places like Jeremiah Smith, etc. And Lagway, DJ Lagway did a great job of recruiting other people, but yet no recruits yet, no commits yet. Is that a bad sign, or do you think they're going to start falling like from trees from the apples?
There's never been less incentive to commit at this point, right? Because in 2 months, not even 2 months, recruits are going to be able to take unlimited official visits if they want. So right now we're kind of in the preseason of official visits in my mind, where you're going to have prospects, especially top 250 prospects, who are going to take a visit every single weekend in June, because those are technically freebies. They can see these programs, especially if they're in that radius that you hear coaches talk about so much. All these prospects that Florida is getting on campus from the state of Florida, it doesn't matter necessarily if they get someone to campus for an official visit and then they don't commit this weekend, because they can come back to campus at any point for an unofficial visit at any point in the next 6 months. That's not really the case for Florida prospects for schools like LSU, Michigan, Ohio State. They really have to pick those selectively. So you see a lot of prospects who have those northern schools, western schools in the mix. Maybe you want to hold off on those a little bit till they've taken some of their local visits, that they can visit those schools again. I think that if you're a local school, it really doesn't matter too much if you don't come away with a big, commitment right now. It's obviously valuable if you can get that, but it's not an indictment if it doesn't happen. Guys like LJ McCray, Kendall Jackson, those guys are going to be on campus 4 or 5 more times before the year is over. Florida's coaching staff was, in Daytona Beach, at Buchholz, around the area 2 times throughout the spring, and they're going to be able to get those kids, like I said, back to campus. So no commitments is not concerning. Now, obviously, TJ Moore committing to Clemson maybe is a little bit of maybe an onus to put a little more pressure on some of your targets at wideout, because every program in the state of Florida was going after TJ Moore, right? It wasn't just Florida, Miami, FSU. Every program was going after that guy. So for Clemson to get him to commit at this time, in my mind, it's an outlier. It shouldn't mean that your program is doing something wrong, that you need to freak out and think that your recruiting efforts aren't working out. That's not the case whatsoever. It's a big win for Clemson. Florida could still flip a guy like that down the line. Who knows what can happen? Get him on campus next weekend, see what can happen. From everything we heard from this last weekend, though, Florida pushed all the right buttons. And I got to just say, think of the recruiting classes that Urban Meyer would have been able to sign if he had Celebration Point at his disposal, buddy. Steve Spurrier.
What an asset that is.
Prime and Pearl. That is absolutely invaluable. Dave & Buster's, I don't know if you saw some of those videos out there. I would have loved to go to Dave & Buster's if I was 17, 18 years old. Right? That would be incredible.
I'd like to go now.
I would like to go right now. We should do it. If you've got the time on your schedule, we should make it happen. We can go get lunch and
get Brendan and make him buy us lunch.
Play a little skee-ball.
Yeah,
he can buy us a few beers. I'm down. Middle of the day. Let's do it. But if you are a recruit, that's an ideal stop, because you can then go have a $400 dinner at Prime and Pearl. You can go to Steve Spurrier's and see all the memorabilia. And that is right there in Gainesville, 15 minutes away from campus. That was not the case in 2006, 2007. And Florida coaches now have that at their disposal. So if anything, you are seeing, I think, some more elation coming out from some prospects at a time when they, again, have never had more incentive to pump the brakes a little bit, not ride the high, I guess I should say, of an official visit coming out of it, where in my mind, sometimes I see that happen and I think, okay, that's the elation of an official visit. Let's see how the staff stays in contact with them, how they fare when they visit elsewhere. You want to be the staff that does everything right and then has a chance to flip someone rather than maybe worrying about losing your guys down the line to a more impressive official visit. I don't think that's something the staff has to worry about.
You're right. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill is really like another University of Florida facility. I mean, it's like they built that.
Right.
How good? I mean, I understand some of the parents were there. They were so impressed. And a lot of the recruits, my inside sources told me, loved looking at the trophies and all the artifacts and the history. I mean, it's an amazing place. If you hadn't been there, I'm not plugging because it's Steve Spurrier's. It's just an amazing place. They spent a ton of money on that place.
And especially if you're a Florida fan. Oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, so you don't feel like there's any commentary on Florida's lack of good recruiting. It looks and sounds and feels like they're doing almost everything they can. For those people who are Gator fans who got angst saying, oh, we can't get these guys, we got whatever. I mean, you're recruiting against two of the great college programs of all time, Alabama and Georgia. So right off the bat, it's pretty tough. It's a 5-stars out there. Where's he going to go to school? What's the glamorous school? Nick Saban's still, one of he is the GOAT, and he also Alabama's reputation. And then you got Georgia, and you got some emerging other places, and you still got Clemson, whatever. But somehow, and I talked to Urban about this, you have to have that breakthrough like he did on Tim Tebow. That was the big game changer. One athlete, one or two, and you can get it going. So are you buying into these polls and the DraftKings over under a 5-5 this year? And you think it's a kind of rebuilding year? What's your take on how Florida's ranked so far? It's early, but the early polls and the odds.
I think Florida is still they're approaching the tail end of the rebuild phase, if that makes sense. And this season and maybe into next year's spring, I think will be the culmination of the rebuild. Whether you will see if it actually has, manifested itself as a rebuild into a contender. I agree with you 100% that it's going to take landing some top tier prospects to make that happen. You can't just solely rely on finding those diamonds in the rough, which I have said time and time again on here that Florida's coaching staff has done that. You're going to have to go out there and land some of those 5-star prospects, whether it's Jeremiah Smith, who apparently took Ohio State commit out of his bio after he left Florida.
He did. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
That's what they're saying. Jordan Ross, the number 12 rated prospect by 247 Sports, he rated the visit a 10 out of 10. If you can get someone like that in this class who has 30-plus scholarship offers, an LJ McCray, a guy who Georgia, wants to be in their class, Miami wants to be in their class, FSU is vying for him. If you can get guys like that and build some momentum, especially heading into FNL, which I got to say, this is maybe one of the most unspoken things here about building momentum here. Florida's Friday Night Lights is in 2 weeks. It's not at the end of July, as a lot of people are accustomed to. Friday Night Lights is June 23rd this year. I don't know how much information is out there on that right now.
I've not heard it. That's the first I've heard, yeah.
It's going to lead into an official visit weekend, which is going to be another
big What's the date again? I'm going to
weekend.
write it down. What is it again?
Yeah, June 23rd is the date that we're currently hearing, expected to be announced fairly soon here. I hope I'm not ruining anything too much.
No. It should be out. It probably
Absolutely.
is. I just
it should be out there. I just got to check. But that is going to be a big.
Hey, Graham,
weekend, so.
You are the Minister of Information, for crying out loud.
Can't give away too much, though. You said it yourself. You can't give away too much, right?
No, that's good. We'll find out. But all right, so this covering recruiting is just a mystery to me. Because other than covering official visits, and we'd have no sources. You can't talk to the kids. I mean, you can if you've had a previous relationship. Obviously, University of Florida can't help you one bit on anything, and it's hard if you're not if you don't have a 247 recruiting service or you don't have on 3. It's tough, and it's not something I do well. And some of our young guys, are learning how to do it. You've done it a while, But it feels and looks like there's a little bit of a turn here, but we'll see. It's not going to matter until you get to the field. and you find out, what they can do on the field. And so, where are you at on that, by the way, right now? Are you over 5-5 or 5?
I'm right now saying 7-5. I think that there is a path to 8-4, a very foreseeable path in my mind. I think the offense is going to be surprisingly better than people think. They're going to run the ball a lot better than people think, and the defense is going to improve. Guys like Cam Jackson, Desmond Watson, the interior of that defensive line is going to be a lot better. I'm right now at 7-5, but I see a path to 8-4. I'm more likely on 8-4 than I am at 5-7 right now.
And Austin Armstrong impresses me. From what little I've seen.
Oh yeah, man.
And the players respond to him. I'd like to see a little more fire and ginger, and
Did you see that video of him dancing that came out? Some of the songs. I need to get the guy at my wedding. If he's out there, if someone can push him, man. I need him to get to sing some songs at my wedding. That'd be great.
When are you getting married?
Hopefully 2025. We'll see what happens.
Okay, well. I'll dance at your wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
please,
listen,
please
everybody's dancing. Stories today about, we know all about some of the other coaches who have danced, including Brian Kelly. But I love the story Spurrier told, and I'm going to use it in my column, when he was asked to dance with Marcus Lattimore's mother to do that cha-cha. You know what?
You've seen the video of Saban even got out there, and he
I've
did
seen
a little
Saban.
Square dance there. He can still move a little bit.
Yeah,
man.
He got moves. Yeah, he got moves. Yeah.
I need to see Billy Napier, what he can do.
I know he's got bust a move. Bust a move, Billy.
We got to see it, man. Yeah. I know he can do it. If he's not going to do it, Austin Armstrong shows he's comfortable doing it for him. So.
Well, I remember Steve Spurrier dancing. I danced at his 50th birthday, as a matter of fact. By the way, I can cut a rug, just so you know that. I'm known.
I got to see it. I got to see it. I got to see
People
it.
have been known to see it. We had a party in Atlanta. Ask Tim Casey, some of them dudes. All right, just don't mess with me. I got a move or two. Okay.
I don't plan on it. I got to see it though.
Right.
I trust you, but I got to see it.
You're hard, Graham. All right, buddy. Thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it very much. Be well. Read him on 247. Hope to have you back soon. All right.
Thank you. We'll do it again soon. Thanks, buddy.
Y'all
take care.
Graham Hall, Minister of Information. He's still got it. All right. All right, folks. Thank you. Stand by. We're going to be coming to you in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the thing with the LIB. Okay. And Lauren's got his trivia coming up. I got to tell you the truth. I'm sad and I'm happy at the same time. Unfortunately, if you take the ethics out of it, the morality out of it, it's good. They're back together. We want to see golf, but you can't take it out. Golf sports are not a morality play, but it's significant. It's really different this time around. I read an article in the New Republic. I'll have to share some of it with you. Tell me what you think. All right. And I love you don't like golf. This is bigger than golf, okay? This article, I forgot who wrote it, but anyway, here's how it starts. Tuesday morning surprise merger between the PGA Tour and the insurgent Saudi Arabia-backed LIV Golf is both completely insane and completely unsurprising. And yet it is also insane because just how cynical it is, even by the standards of professional golf, arguably the planet's most cynical sport. The new combined entity essentially puts Saudi Arabia in charge of golf. No, not just the PGA Tour, golf. The deal effectively combines the PGA European Tour and the LIV to form the new entity that people with close ties to the Saudi Arabia government will control. A year ago, the PGA was making the case, correctly if cynically, that the entire LIV project was illegitimate. Saudi Arabia was splashing huge sums of money around, wooing players like Phil Mickelson and Bubba Watson, trying to build a glitzy competitor. A year ago, PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan appealed to players to stay with his outfit, citing Saudi Arabia's alleged complicity in the September 11 attacks. Quote, I think you have to be living under a rock not to know there are significant implications, Monahan said at a press conference. That was a year ago. Two families close to me, lost loved ones. I would ask any player who has left, any player who ever considered leaving, have you ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour? Unquote. The message was simple. The PGA Tour might be skimping its players, but at least it wasn't allegedly complicit in 9/11. Here's the bottom line. I got more to say later. We're going to go get Lauren. This is me talking. Yes, the sport, which prides itself on honor, let me say it again, prides itself on honor and fairness, has done the most grievous sin, doing business with the devil. No way to say it. So I got more to talk about, but let's go get Lauren. It's not the subject he wants to talk about tonight, but he can talk about a lot of things. Lauren's a diverse guy. He's a lot of opinion, educated, and he's got it all. Let's go see what our man's doing. Good evening, Lauren. How you doing, man?
How you guys doing? How's everything?
All right. We just heard from Coach Meyer earlier. I don't think if you heard it or not. Heard that a terrific job, as expected. Some people wanted to rip him, I'd say, but it's okay. Whatever. Good stuff. So we'll hold off the trivia just for a second. Let's get you to weigh in a little bit on what you have a little knowledge of. And I was just talking to Graham about this, Graham Hall. The Spurrier's Grill Grill is like it's like another facility the University of Florida built. And of course, it didn't. It has no money in it, but it is what a tremendous museum restaurant to take these recruits from all we can gather. I mean, we weren't there, but we got reports on what went on. It was resounding. It was hugely successful, outstanding. Now, I don't know what that's going to mean in terms of getting players. As Graham points out, they got in 2 more months, they can have unlimited visits. Do you know that? Unlimited visits. So it's changing so fast.
I did hear that. Yeah.
So it's changing very, very fast. So give me your take on all that.
Well, I think if to start with Spurriers, I mean, obviously I was there tonight, so I'm there at least every Tuesday.
Do you have a chair? Do you have a chair with your name on it? By the way, just checking.
I'm working on it. I got to talk to Freddie about that. But they definitely, when they see me come in, they just kind of point to go do your thing. But no, it's a place that has definitely helped my wife and I kind of become parts of the Gainesville fabric, if you will. We've met a lot of people. I've done some business there. But yeah, I mean, from the standpoint of recruiting, I mean, it is far more than an ode to Steve Spurrier, but it really speaks to the breadth of what the Florida football program means to the community and what it can mean to you as a member of the community. One of the best things, they play a video, and I think it's closed captions, but I think it's James Bates and Coach Spurrier talking. And just you can just see the passion when they show the highlights and things like that. And like you said, the University of Florida does not have any money in it, but obviously with gifted people such as Katie Turner, Bree Wade, and others that handle the on-campus recruiting and really tailor the visits personally to each and every recruit, Spurrier's has something to offer everybody. We heard word that a couple of the parents were just so impressed with, forget the food and things like that, but just the memorabilia and the things that are offered there at Spurrier's for the common fan that may not be, into Steve Spurrier, the man, but just how it's all, indoctrinated into the experience that is the Florida football program and where things where they want to take things as a coaching staff and a program. And you got it there. I mean, it sits there right on the corner. It's when you drive in. I mean, you got everything there. You got the neon sign of the movies on one side. You got Spurs on the other side. You got the pizza joint across the way. And it just kind of opens up nicely. And then you walk in there and you kind of think, oh, okay. And then, wow, I mean, Spurs kind of opens up. And the vittles are good. I mean, I haven't had a bad meal there yet. I mean, the vittles are unbelievable. They have
what's your favorite dish?
Seafood pasta. Seafood pasta is definitely my favorite dish.
Yeah.
But I'm on everything from the eggplant fritters to the buffalo chicken dip. So I mean, I'm a big fan of Spurrier's.
I like the mahi mahi and the Spurrier salad. It's always good too. I like his HBC's own brand of beer, whatever. So So all right, let's. You're welcome to comment on the golf thing if you like. I know you're a man of sports guy. If you like the merger, which is
I mean, unfortunately, I'll say this about unfortunately, and I guess I'll say this. Saudi Arabia has always been a slippery slope for the United States as a whole and anybody that does business with them. I mean, we have one of our major Air Force bases, if I'm not correct, is in Saudi Arabia and has been for years. So it's been very key in our defense of our allies and our sales. So I mean, it's just always been a slippery slope. So I mean, I hope that the PGA in working with the Live Tour, they can, just kind of. I hope that the sport stays the sport and politics can be set aside. And I don't know how that works, but
pretty hard. Pretty hard.
Just it's tough, but it's always been it is definitely not a one-sided argument though. If you point to 9/11 and you say, whatever. It's bigger than that. It always has been, and I think if people go back, even you remember, buddy, I wasn't even born then, but you were younger with the creation of Israel and some of those things. It's always been a slippery slope between so it's going to continue to be slippery. So
I'm conflicted by it because I love the game of golf, and if you start talking about owners of, there's some pretty bad owners in other sports, but none of them are killing journalists and none of them are abusing human rights, like the Saudis have been. So anyway, we'll save the moralizing for another time. There was one comment from a guy, Rappaport, I think his name is Ian. He's pretty smart about it, golf. He said, I'm told the guys who took the LIV money will definitely pay a major fine. Won't be equal to every player. That will be enough for to assuage guys who are pissed they turned down $100 million to stay loyal, only for the two to merge. And Maracara has already commented on that. Got to be feeling pretty. Last thing I got to read is my buddy Randy Briggs eloquently wrote this. Then we'll get to the trivia question and other things. It's really one of those weird things. It's really impacts us in many ways besides sports. But Randy Briggs is a great golfer and a smart guy, a great lawyer. He says, I guess human rights abuses, chopping up journalists, sports washing, and refusing to give average Americans a break at the gas pumps just doesn't outweigh the power of unlimited money. Driving the game's failure, quote unquote, driving the game's future, quote unquote, is an interesting phrase to use in describing the tour's commitment. Euphemism for it's all about the money. So to help grow the game, quote unquote, with an eye towards combining with this new product to grow those combined commercial businesses, I respect and feel bad for those loyalists who rejected the dollar bait. Very well said.
It's and so begins the. Yeah, I mean it's just as such as life. I mean we can point to so many things that bring those social and political conflicts to light, and it's never, unfortunately, it's never easy in this life. It's not.
Yeah, and as a coach, I'm going to ask you to comment on this. I'm not going to get into it because I always get in trouble when I do. Before we give the trivia deal, Kenneth Winter, who's made some comments tonight, pretty intelligent guy, and I've heard this from others, say, Urban made me mad when he jumped ship. Okay. Those are people who think they know the inside story of Urban Meyer. Okay, I'm not going to start talking about what I know about it, but can you explain that coaches move on? They don't always stay in the same job. Nick Saban moved on a couple of times, and people always think it's disloyal to them. No, and if you're in a business of of washing cars, and somebody down the street offered you more money to go do it, you'd probably go too, or whatever. Not a good example, but my point is, I get it how people get mad because they think they got mad at Steve Spurrier because he went for $1 million to go to coach, $2 million, whatever it was, to go to coach Washington. They got mad. Well, how could he turn on us? They're mad at Urban because he left. Urban had health issues. He didn't leave to go to another school. He left because, I know this firsthand, I can put my hand on the Bible and say he had some major health issues. And for those who say, yeah, sure he did, whatever, he faked himself. Okay, believe what you want to believe. And you can criticize Urban for a lot of things, but he didn't leave to go someplace else. In fact, I'll tell you one more time. I was in his house when he was working for ESPN, And we talked about this. And I brought up Ohio State. He didn't bring it up. It's the first time he thought about it. I said, you know what's going to happen. They're going to change coaches. He's not going to make it at Ohio State. And they're going to come after you. And his words were, I hope not right now. So is that a sign of a guy who was planning to leave and go to Ohio State? I don't think so. So, again, not to get all amped up about it, but help me out here. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, not to, we can get into why Spur left, and you know that firsthand, and you know why Urban left. Coach Meyer left firsthand. But like you said, I mean, people get up and leave. And, as fans, we sometimes feel like, and obviously the coach is ours, and we support him, and we love him. But yes, they're gonna leave. I mean, one of the worst things ever. You know how I feel about Coach Spurrier. I still fan out when I see him.
Yeah,
and
you're a fanboy.
The worst thing for me was to see him in a South Carolina, with the Gamecocks and all that. But it is what it is. I mean, in coaching, things change, terms change, and I mean this racket down here in Gainesville is tough, man. And I really do think if you listen to Coach Meyer speak, and it really happened to him at Ohio State as well, I mean, the pressure is immense. And when he speaks of the pressure, it not only, got him at Florida, but it ultimately got him at Ohio State and in some ways probably in Jacksonville too. I mean, it just is, it's rough out there. When it's millions of dollars riding, when you coach in high school like I was, and you're getting $2,500, $3,500, whatever we were getting.
That's pretty good, by the way.
That's nothing, but there's still pressure, and the pressure can consume you. But not only that, sometimes you need to change. You need to step away. You need to see another, view of things. You need to see the world differently so you can grow as a person. And, I'm not trying to get into his family business, things like that. But what I do understand, and you can echo me on this, his relationship with his children got a lot better when he left Florida.
No doubt.
And, as someone who's a parent, I don't have any natural children, but you have children. And your relationship with your children is just as important as beating Alabama and Georgia every year. I mean, it is. Urban Meyer is a man of faith. And his relationship with his children is extremely important. His girls and his son and those, that change of, scenery needed to maybe happen so he could be the father and grandfather now that he is. So, it's just a lot of variables when it comes to that. I think people need to, look introspectively. I guess that's the right word. And,
that's the right word. Yeah.
And really, and think about it if it was them.
Yeah, well said. It's well said, and I'll leave you with this thought. We'll get a trivia question in because we're running out of time. And when is it okay for a coach to leave? When he wins 2 national championships? Apparently not. When is it people say, okay, you can leave now, you served us well? At some point, every coach, as Coach Spurrier said, has an expiration date. They're going to leave or get fired, one of the two. So every coach eventually leaves. And it's going to happen to Nick Saban one day soon. And, but fans are not realistic in that regard. I understand how they feel forsaken. They feel like they were betrayed. But, folks, you don't own the guy. He just works for the school. All right? Leave it at that. Let's do some trivia. Stand by. We got your trivia live from Spurrier's Grind Grill. Folks, line it up. He's got good stuff.
Lauren Meadows with Gator Bait Media coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill with Tuesday Night Trivia. Jack Youngblood leads all former Florida Gators in NFL sacks. Who is second to Youngblood of former Florida Gators on the all-time list? Be the first to answer. You'll be entered into our monthly drawing for swag and other prizes. And tonight, we'll pull another winner. With Gator Bait Media, this is Lauren Meadows with Tuesday Night Trivia.
All right. Did you bring some food home? You probably didn't because you're batching it this week, right?
Yeah. Wife's out of town for about a month. I went to chicken salad chick.
All right. Well, listen.
So,
Repeat the question. Repeat that question. Yeah.
Okay, we got to pull our winner from last month too.
Okay. Well, repeat the question. They can be thinking about it.
Jack Youngblood leads all former Gators in NFL, has the most sacks of any former Gator in NFL history. Who is second to Jack Youngblood on that list? So who is the second highest? Who has the second most sacks of former Florida Gators? It's a trick question, too. You don't think it is, but it's
starting to come in now. Take a look to see if anybody's getting close, and then you want to go ahead and pull the other winner from that. Who's the guy we never got the prize to?
Yeah, there's some. I think it's. I can't remember, but if you won if we pulled your name in, I think it was February, or because we took March off, so it would have been like March-April drawing. The last time we draw, if you won, I know you messaged us before. Message us again, and we'll.
It wasn't Toby Parmenter, was it? That wasn't Toby Parmenter.
No, it was not Toby Parmenter.
All right.
And this month's winner is none other than Sissy Long.
Sissy Long, yeah, I'm cheering for Sissy.
Yeah,
that's great. She's one of my favorite people and one of the most loyal viewers and member of Gator. This for Sissy. Right, Sissy, good job. Come get your prize.
I'll reach out to Sissy, but if we pulled your name, I think I could figure it out. But if not, please reach out to us. We owe you some swag for sure.
All right, now that's pretty good stuff there. So yeah. All right, so let's go now with this. This is just for last. This is tonight's. Okay, look at the list over. We got in about 25 seconds. He's going to announce the status. Really good show tonight, Lauren, and always good to have you on. And you'll be back with us on Thursday night. We had the Orange and Blue Blood show, and of course Graham Hall. He's one of our favorites, Minister of Information, and great to have Urban Meyer. He was terrific. So if you haven't seen that interview, go back and watch it tomorrow. There's some good stuff in it. All right, who we got then? Anybody got it right?
No, we stumped him again.
So no, you don't. Why, guys? They can't.
Dan Bond says he knows it. I'll give him a shot if he knows it.
All right, Dan, let's hear it.
You can hear me, Dan. Throw it out there.
All right, we'll keep giving them 30. Everybody else 30 seconds and get it on. Dude, you're not. You're just too hard. You're too tough. You're killing them.
It's a good one. It's a good one. You got to know you. I actually it was. I had to look it up, but it was one of the two guesses. But it's a trick question.
All right, well, here we go. Let's see if folks, the clock is ticking, and if you're not in by now, we'll take one more guess, and we're out of here. Meanwhile, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and do the read the spot for our friends at Renstar Medical Research. While I'm doing that, give them a little bit more time. I'm trying to help you out, folks. Trying to help you out. You got to help yourself out. Jump in here and get your names in. All right, here's Renstar. All right, Renstar Medical Research, my friends, a terrific job. Support our program, have for a long time. They have a proven reputation as a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility. Renstar Medical Research brings cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala in areas like Alzheimer's, dementia, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraine, and fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect us right here in our community. Since their inception in 1998, Renstar has conducted more than 700 clinical trials, and research continues to partner up with prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies throughout the medical industry. If you'd like to be a part of these, you can go on renstar.net, see if you qualify. If you do, there's some compensation for time and travel. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Who we got, Lauren?
We have, I think he was a Gator for 1 year. But he claims the Gators. Trace Armstrong.
Mm-hmm. How about that? Yeah, he was an agent now, very successful. I think he might have
very
been
successful.
At one point, he might have been Urban's. I'm not sure. So we got a winner. Who is it?
I think he was. We don't have a winner.
Oh, we don't have one, dude. Again. Oh my gosh.
Stumped him.
I'm gonna start getting a funeral dirge on here, dude. Because if he can get it right, huh? Really? So
Yeah.
Well, you did it again there, Meadows. You knocked
somebody
him.
Guessed Kevin Carter. Kevin Carter's third.
Yeah.
Good guess. Whoever guessed
that was a good one. One of your favorites. I know he's one of your favorites too. All right, Coach Meadows. Good stuff as always, and good to see you. And talk to you again later this week. Coach Lauren Meadows. Hey, you're gonna do a track story for us soon too. We'll talk about that too. All right.
Thank you. That'll be got it going.
We'll be looking for it. Thank you, Lauren Meadows. All right, folks. That wraps up the show tonight. Good show. Thank you very much for participating in the program and for a good crowd tonight. That was good. Coach Meyer drew a few people. I talked to Coach Spurrier today, and we're going to get him back on again soon too. He's got some things to talk about. I want to talk about how he did the cha-cha with the mother of Marcus Lattimore, who, of course, is one of the all-time great players. They wound up, signing him. He went to South Carolina, and he became a great player. So, I don't know. I guess I would probably dance if they asked me to. So, all right, folks, have a good night.